Hey folks, how's it going? In this video, we're going to be talking about two really powerful functions in SQL Server. Actually, in any kind of SQL, DB2, Oracle, you name it. That's the sum function and the average function. These are both what are known as aggregate functions, and we're going to look at them the way that you would use them by themselves. We're going to also look at each of them with group by. And then last but not least, we're going to look at them as analytical or window functions, where we use cool stuff like partition by. Those are really important because you know they're going to ask you that on an interview. So let's get started. First of all, we're going to just be selecting from a table, the employee table. You notice there's a big gap here. That's on purpose. When you see all the other stuff that I have down below, I tried to kind of order everything. No pun, just so it kind of lines up. So just bear with that. I know it looks a little creepy right now, but that's okay. It can't possibly be creepier than me. Okay, so let's get started. I did not say that out loud. All right, so this is a typical table. We've got our employees with our totally made up names like Edna Spledna, Clint Bly, well, that's not made up. Betty White, totally not made up. Department, and we've got salary. Okay, no big deal. We can handle that, right? Let's go down now, and we're just going to show the sum. What we're going to do is we're going to use the sum function, and we're just going to take the sum of all the salaries in the table. It's kind of useless information in real life, but this is how you would do it. So you do sum, and there you go. Now you could, in the where clause, you could say where department equals X or department equals Y, and then it'll show you the sum for one department. That might be a little more practical, but we're going to see a very cool way to do that a little bit later with group by. But let me just keep going. Now I'm going to show you something with average, but when we do the average, it's going to look funky. So it has the average. This is the average of all the salaries in the table or in the company. And again, not really practical in real life. But look at this. When we did the sum, everything was nice and neat, and it just had 2 decimal points. But here it's got this kind of irrational, goes out for 6 digits. That's idiotic. Let's clean it up. And I know this video isn't about formatting, but we're here, so let's just do it. I'm going to take the average salary, but I'm going to cast it as a decimal with a total size of 10, and only 2 of those spaces can be on the right side of the decimal. The rest can be on the left. So here's what it looks like now. I'm going to run it the way we just looked at it, and then this new way. Boom. So here it's got this .36842. It's like when you're looking at crypto numbers, right? But here it has 0.37, so okay, that's something we can wrap our heads around in the US. It's just 2 places after the decimal point. Yay. Let me just get rid of this for now so it doesn't show up again. And I'm just going to tighten everything up here just so that it's easier to scroll up and down. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, okay, so we looked at this. We got the nice looking salary. Yay. What I'm going to do now is show you how to make this a little more useful. Just imagine if we could show the sum of each department on its own. And the way that you do that, you keep your sum salary, and remember, sum sal is just what we're naming the field that gets returned, like sum of the salary and the average of the salary, right? That's all that is. Well, in this one, we're going to be selecting the department and the sum of the salary from employee, but now we're going to group by the department. And then I'm going to order by the second field. The second field is going to be the number field, and I want it descending, okay? So anyway, here's what it looks like. Boom. So now all I did is I'm grouping by department. So it's going to show me all the departments one time. They're not in order because I'm ordering it by this field descending. I could have just said order by 1. Okay? And maybe that's a little more easy to look at. It starts with A, C, H, all the way down to the S's. But anyway, so just 1 record for advertising, and that's the sum of all the money. 1 record for cafeteria, that's the total. Wow, how do these people live? Software is a little better. We're up to about 1 million. Sales, look at these guys. They're making almost 4 million. But, they hate their job. They hate their life. They're probably divorced. Okay, I didn't say that out loud. I hope you don't have a salesperson in the house that heard that. Anyway, now we're going to do the same thing for average salary. But remember, we're casting it so that the numbers don't fly off the page past the decimal point. So let's do that. And so now what we have is we have one, and you know what? Let's also order this by the first field, which is the department. Yay! And as we do that, so advertising, cafeteria, HR, it shows what the average person makes. So this means you don't want to work in advertising, you don't want to work in the cafeteria, you don't want to work in HR, you want to work in software. Okay? And so, depending on where you work, this is typical. Like if you're in Silicon Valley, certain parts of New York, it may not be typical, but it's kind of like on the higher end of it, but it's something to look forward to. Somewhere in your career, this may not even seem like a lot of money if you're relatively young. Okay, so basically, these are how you do the group by. It's real practical, right? You see one of every department and you're good to go. But there's something that's a little more sophisticated, and it's called partition by. These are what we call window functions or analytical functions. By the way, don't say Windows functions. That's different. Windows is an operating system. Window is a type of function. It's actually a type of analytical function, but that'll start an argument if people from Microsoft or people that design the SQL specification, join the room. But anyway, for the sake of argument, analytical function, window function, when people say those two terms, they're talking about the same thing. But I can guarantee you this, if you go on a SQL interview, not a full stack interview, but a true SQL interview, like you're going to be working for a place and they want you to do SQL Server coding, they're going to ask you this stuff. So you have to know it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show, first of all, these three fields, emp, department, and salary. And it's going to look pretty much like this. We're going to see these three fields. Big deal, so what? And they're probably going to be ordered a little differently because I'm doing some other stuff to them. Well, not probably. They're definitely going to be ordered differently. But what I'm also doing is I'm taking some salary. Now, remember, by itself, it's just going to show you the sum of everything. But see, I'm doing this thing called over, and then I'm using partition by. Now, if you've never seen these before, this is going to look weird, but trust me, you want to learn this stuff. Don't be freaked out. It looks weird, and it almost, when you first look at this, it's not intuitive, and it looks like, how could this mean anything? It looks weird, okay? Just take my word for it. Inside the over section, there's two parts to it, usually. There's the partition by, if it has it, and then there's the order by, if it has it. By the way, in SQL Server, if you have a partition by, you have to have an order by. I don't know if that's actually part of the SQL specification, but like with, is it PostgreSQL? You could do a partition, or I was using something, or it might have been, what is that, Snowflake? There was something I was using where you can have a partition by, and you don't have to have an order by. But anyway, just remember, in SQL, you do. SQL Server, okay? So what it's going to do is it's going to do the sum by department, kind of like a group by, but it's going to let me show all these other fields. That's one of the big differences between partition by and group by. With group by, you're just stuck with the fields you're grouping by. And that's it. You can't add other fields because it distorts the logic. But what we're going to do here for sum, it's going to show the sum inside of each department, but it's going to be a running total. This is something that if you had to code this without using analytical functions, you'd be there the rest of your life doing it. It'd be really hard to do. You'd have to have temp tables and loops, and it'd be horrible. Not a fun experience. Not a good thing to do on the final exam. And average is going to do the same thing. It's going to show the average over a certain department as its own window, but then it's going to be a running average. So this is really cool because right here, this is not a lot of code, but it's a lot of functionality. And this is the power of analytical functions. And by the way, sum and average are not the only ones. There's rank, there's dense rank, there's count, there's lead, there's lag, there's cum, dist. There's a whole bunch of stuff. But just start off with the easy ones and get the hang of using partition by and order by, and then start throwing those other guys in there. But wrap your head around the simple stuff first. Watch this. Here we go. Boom. Now I'm going to move this up a little bit. Da, 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 da. Let's put this here so you can see the good stuff. The rest of it is just, you know, from the table. We don't really care about that right now. Okay, so notice how everything is broken down by department. And notice that with the department and just the salaries and the sum for the salaries, look at this. In just this department, take the first salary, 18,000. Well, what's the total so far? 18,000. But now if we take 18 and 32 together, that's 50. Boom, 50. If we take these three together, what's the total? I'll give you a second to count. Don't cheat. It's 77,000. These four together, it's 109,000. See, it's a running total. It keeps getting bigger, unless somebody made negative money, like a salesperson with a chargeback. Now, when we get to cafeteria, notice this. It starts over. The meter resets. The odometer goes back to 0, like the old style analog odometers in cars. Okay, so 31 is 31. 31 and 23 makes 54. These three numbers make 82. These four numbers make 128. And then it starts over. So you see, this right here is its own, wait for it, window. Why do they call it a window? Well, think about it. If you had a little kid draw a picture of a building, it's going to be a square building or a rectangular building, probably the size of a shoebox standing upright. Why? Because that's how kids visualize or a cereal box. And then they're going to put like probably 4 windows and a door, and everything's going to be rectangular, or allegedly rectangular. So you see, if you think about it, this is, come on. This is a window, a rectangle, in a much bigger rectangle, which is, you know, the entire record set. So like, this is a window. This is a window. This is a window. Okay, I'm sounding like a simpleton now. Okay. Now, the same thing is true of the average. 18,000, there's only one of them. The average is 18,000. We add these two together and get 50, divided by 2 is 25. These three together is 77, divided by 3 is this. These four together, that's 109, it averages that. The clock starts over. 31, the average is 31. 31 and 23 makes 54, and the average is 27. All these together make 128, and 4 of them, the average is 32. So anyway, you kind of see how that works. It's a running total per department, and it's a running average per department. It's that simple. If you had to figure out how to do all of this and all of this without doing this and this, you would be there all day. Trust me, trust me, trust me. But because you have these analytical functions or these window functions, it makes it easy. But you have to learn them. You would be surprised how many SQL developers don't know how to do them or have never heard of them. And some of them have been doing this for years and years and years and have never heard of them. It's amazing. I don't know why that is, but I know that that is. And people in that category, no matter how smart they think they are, and no matter how much they can do with temp tables and loops and all this stuff, which is unnecessary, they're not going to get hired at a cutting-edge job that's going to be paying them $100,000 to $150,000. It's just not going to happen. But you, on the other hand, when you learn how to do stuff like this, just keep watching videos online, and don't just watch the videos. Practice. You got to type this out. You got to practice. You got to make mistakes. You got to get frustrated until you learn it. That's what everybody has to do. Thanks for watching. If you've liked this video, please hit the like button. If you want to subscribe, subscribe. If you want to marry me, I'm not really looking to get married. Listen, I'll see you guys in the next video. In the meantime, go make some money. Thanks. Bye.